Let's see, can I just like shake it out? Yeah, it's pretty much in there. This is one of those packages that I really feel 50-50 about. And it's not often that I feel like a product I'm either going to love and think is genius or think is just not the right implementation of it. So today I'm trying to solve the convenience problem of the lack of NDs inside of a PYXIS. Most of us are having to use adapters, screw-on filters, matte boxes, that sort of thing. But 𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗙𝗙 Vision actually makes some very interesting magnetic drop-in filters that I'm very curious will, again, the comment section I feel like is gonna be so divided on this one. The thing I wanna point out is what we're gonna check out only works on the PYXIS L mount version, not the EF mount. So this PYXIS is not gonna work. So let me go ahead and grab my L mount PYXIS here. So this is just one product in their line. Of course, I'll leave everything linked in the description. I don't need instructions, I'm sure. I won't damage anything. So basically, I asked them to replicate the internal NDs that I get inside of my 𝗬𝗧𝗨𝗙𝗙. So inside of there, I have 3 ND options, 2, 4, and 6 stops. And they also threw in a 1/8 mist filter. So basically, the way this works is instead of adding a filter on the front of the lens, instead we're gonna be adding it right in front of the sensor. I don't know if you guys can see this, I'll probably have to shoot a B-roll shot, but there are 3 different screws, 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top, that kind of hold in a protective layer in front of the sensor. And apparently those screws are magnetized, and that's what they are kind of banking on with their filters here. For example, let's take this 4-stop ND. And yeah, this is very thin. And so I guess I just literally, so now that's seated like perfectly in there. And so this doesn't obstruct anything. Throw back on my EF adapter here because I don't have any L mount lenses. Now, if I want to take like, say, a vintage lens, which I don't have NDs for, I can now attach this nice little itty bitty lens right here. We got 4 stops of ND right there. So obviously I think you can very quickly tell the pros and cons of a product like this. The pros are that once you've installed whatever filter you want, you are not any longer limited by the types of lenses or adapters that you can use. Your rigs can be so much smaller, so much more compact. Again, I can go from a tiny little lens like this throw on my big cine lenses. I don't need any matte boxes. I don't need a bunch of step-up rings. But of course, the big con that I know everyone's already typed out is if all of a sudden the sun changes and I need to go from 4 stops to 6 stops, then of course I need to take off whatever's in the front, which in this case is a pretty small, tiny setup. But of course, if you had rails and focus rings, perhaps getting back to the sensor area is going to be a little bit more difficult. And then it comes with, again, a couple of these little tools, which basically just look like a guitar pick. And I think I just grab it right in the top middle there. Kind of have to commit to taking it out. The magnets are pretty strong. So lift that forward, comes right out. Again, on smaller setups like this whole process is taking just a matter of, seconds, and I don't see as a big deal. If you are someone who is fully rigging up your PYXIS, odds are you're already gonna have a matte box and you're gonna go through that whole sort of thing. So this feels like one of those arguments that doesn't really need to take place. If you are the type who is fully building up a rig, you already have a matte box, then this product just isn't really tailored to you anyway. Personally, I think the absolute no-brainer where I think there's far less cons is if you're like me and you love mist filters, because my IRIX lenses are they're very sterile, they're very clean lenses. And so they don't have a lot of character to them. So for me, I like a little bit of mist. This vintage Nikon lens obviously has more character. I still love putting a mist, or would love to put a mist in front of this, but now I can put it behind it. So I just installed the mist filter here. And this is something that I could imagine just putting behind there and then literally leaving. Now it's basically like I have a PYXIS with a built-in mist filter that no matter what lens I put in front of it, I'm always gonna have a 1/8 amount of mist, or of course, whatever filter you order. And there are some other really creative ones here. Wow, so we've got quite a few different here. I'll put a screenshot up of all these different options, but you have NDs, you have mist, you have infrared, color enhancing, just a clear dust protective. That actually would be an interesting one. So the dust protective one, even if you have a large setup, if you're shooting in environments like on beaches where there's a lot of sand, in rain, snow, kind of out in the elements, I think that's really smart. That's cool. I think I also forgot to mention that this does work on the Pocket, or not the Pocket, but the cinema camera 6K full frame, basically the Pocket with this same sensor full frame version. Obviously, I'm sad that it only works on the L mount since my EF PYXIS is kind of my primary. Maybe I need to switch over the accessories a bit. And by the way, I want to point out that 𝗦𝗙𝗙𝗙 did obviously send these filters out to me to test out, but there is no money exchange. They're not sponsoring this video. The link below isn't like an affiliate link. There's no monetary gain here in me making this video. I think it was a couple months ago that I just randomly stumbled upon a video of seeing a PYXIS sensor and a little ND being dropped in, and I'm like, what is that option? And so hopefully to some of you, this is me just presenting another option out there. I don't think it's the perfect one-size-fits-all solution for every PYXIS or 6K owner out there, but the filters seem very high quality in terms of I'm not seeing any sort of like color shifting, seem on par with the same NDs inside of Blackmagic cameras. So I'm a fan. And the last test I'm gonna do, because I feel like some people are gonna ask, is, you know, what if you lose the fancy little thing here? Can you just pull it out with your hand while not messing up your sensor or anything? And the answer is yeah. Oh, I think I was grabbing it on the wrong side before, which I'm sure if I read the instructions would have told me to grab from the bottom because it has a little cutout. Before I was grabbing it from the top. Let's try that again with the tool. Yep, that comes out a lot easier. Read instructions, people. I have pretty average hands and a little bit of nail right now. I'd say if I had zero nail, this would probably be a little difficult, but you definitely don't need this tool to change this. So let's see, can I just like shake it out? Yeah, it's pretty much in there. So yeah, I'm very curious where you guys have landed after seeing this video. Let me know down in the comments below. Shout out to 𝗦𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙 for sending these out and just making something unique on the market. Everything will be linked in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. See you guys in the next video.